It's daybreak on Arise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Let's start with this day. PSC, IG posting commissioners without art clearance is unconstitutional. That's the Police Service Commission speaking. It fears collusion with governors and says authority to assign commissioners resides with the commission. Tonya Cole to Buhari declares state of emergency in River State. Now, ahead of Buhari's inauguration, first commercial vessel berths at $1.5 billion Lekki Deep Seaport. Atiku campaign wants the NDLEA EFCC to arrest, prosecute Tinubu over drugs and allegations of money laundering.
Let's take a look at the Punch this morning. Leading headline, banks battle new naira shortage ahead of a deadline. Some riders, Lagos FCT states ATMs dispense all notes as January 31 deadline nears. CBN begins currency swap for rural unbanked Nigerians. Stakeholders foresee extension. Customers want CBN to shift ground. Leading photos there, passengers stranded in forest as Warri Itakpe train derails. More headlines. PSC asks federal government to stop 10,000 constable salaries. Petrol may hit 800 naira per litre on subsidy removal. This is coming from the marketers.
Okay, this is the Guardian. Cash swap program takes off nationwide a week to deadline. 20 African heads of state, private investors meet in Dakar for food security. ABC presidential campaigner Mohammed declares support for Atiku and other parties. Now, passengers stranded as train derails in Kogi. The railway corporation says they've all been dispatched now to their destinations. Bello strongly behind Tinubu. That's according to Kogi APC.
The Daily Sun this morning. Aftermath of APC media team attacks, the PDP fights back, drags Tinubu to NDLEA and the EFCC. Just below there, redesigned Naira banks fret as CBN widens sting operations. Diphtheria deaths hit 34 as Kanu registers 100 infections.
The international papers now. This is the Daily Express. Boris Johnson back on the front line. That's a picture of the former Prime Minister and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Boris paid a surprise visit to Kiev on Ukraine's event.
The iNewspaper, energy firms hit back at prepay meter ban with threats of higher bills.
And The Guardian says Britain forecast to reach £1 trillion export target 15 years late in wake of Brexit.
And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for being here. Let's take a look at the leading story on this day. And I think this day is the only one that has this story leading on the front page. The PSC says IG, the Inspector General of Police, posting commissioners without clearance is unconstitutional. This day is exclusively reporting that the commission expressed concern about a likely collusion between the IGP and the state governors to post preferred CPs to their states ahead of the general election. Emmanuel, I'm sure you've read the story. What are your thoughts?
Well, good morning, Kechi. Good morning. How's the weekend? We're back on days, and normally Mondays are big business days, and but we're in the political season now, so you expect big political stories too. And this day, we're being the forefront of this kind of reporting, got this exclusive story on what's happening at the Police Service Commission. It's a big story, it's a huge story, and it's one that I think we're going to have some ripple effect down the week, because it goes straight to the heart of the matter. So many things in this story: the election itself, the integrity of the exercise, the neutrality of policemen and the police force, and also the crisis, the constitutional crisis that you find in such matters. And it's not only with the police, but the kind of impunity that the Police Service Commission is reporting is one that has left many people, worried, and it's been part and parcel of the larger problem of interpreting the Constitution and how it relates to the relationship between institutions and other the agencies, especially the crisis of regulation. Who is to call what shot? Who is regulating who? Who makes the last call on this? Where is that there's so much impunity? The IG himself, there was a story around him about the extension of his tenure, and then this is coming up. And if you tie that together with what the Police Service Commission is saying, Nkechi, you know that this is a very, very serious story. The fact that preferred or governors can actually require or call for certain kind of commissioner of police. In the past, what happened is that the way the system is supposed to run smoothly is that the commissioner of police is supposed not to have some kind of undue relationship with the governor on ground, so that he doesn't get to use them. And now in this election season, it's one of the most important issue. And already the Police Service Commission is saying that, look, that is exactly what the country is faced with now, that governors are going to make requests and they're going to ask for certain people and then use them during election. That's the danger that this kind of unilateral action of the IGP suggests. The fact that he can just post anyone to anyway, it means there will be a collusion between the IGP and the governors. The danger of that is so obvious as far as the Police Service Commission is concerned, as they are talking about it. So what we hope to see happen now is either there's going to be a rectifying of this by the IGP himself, or this will go to the courts for better interpretation. But whichever way it is, already the crisis is out there, and it's an exclusive report by this. We ought to be grateful that this is out in the public domain, so that the campaigns will be really looking at it now to see how they're able to cash in on this to ensure that both INEC and the security agency do the right thing, so that elections are not in danger.
Still on the issue of insecurity, a candidate for a governorship candidate in Rivers State is urging President Buhari to declare a state of emergency in the state. Tonya call. What do you make of this call, Emmanuel?
Well, it's again tied with all the issues we're talking about, and it's the problem of how you'll be able to secure voters during this election so that they don't get attacked unduly. Wike is being accused of using some executive orders to demand that if you are not going to vote for the PDP, at least at the state level, the APCs are complaining, and it's all kind of it's a serious problem, because Tonya is complaining that certain PDP members are also attacked, especially those who want to work for Atiku or vote for Atiku. The presidential candidate get attacked too. So he's saying that it's not just the APC people that are getting attacked in Rivers State, but also PDP supporters who are supporting the presidential candidate. So it's a serious charge, and I'm sure down the line this week, Wike, of course, known to be very quick at replying to such matters, will pick it up. But for now, you have Tonya, who was very clear about his complaint that, look, they are no longer safe. People are getting attacked, and he gave example of such attacks for people who are just trying to just do the right thing, and the pulling down of billboards and the exorbitant fee, charged for just erecting a billboard or using even open spaces for campaigns and all of that. He's saying that it's Wike's way of gagging opposition in the state and do it in the most dictatorial manner possible. It's a serious charge that I'm sure the campaigns will be looking into, and of course, the accused himself, Wike, will have something to say about this.
Emmanuel Bello, 33 or 32 days to the general elections, and we have the parties coming out with their swings. They're swinging at each other. The APC presidential candidates versus the PDP's presidential candidates. Now the PDP's Atiku's campaign wants NDLEA, EFCC to arrest, prosecute Tinubu over drugs, allegations of money laundering, accuses the former Lagos governor of looting state's treasury. Meanwhile, APC says Atiku lacks character to be Nigeria's president. That's on the front page of This Day and also the Daily Sun. Emmanuel, we're missing the point here. These candidates are just now attacking each other's character. And I know there was a song you sang last week when we were talking about this.
The last song.
Exactly.
I know BT if you BT. Everybody knows that song. Kenneth, I'm sure you know that song too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So yes, it's it's counter accusation here and there. The other day it was the Tinubu camp who said, look, Atiku should be arrested, and they listed some of those things there that Atiku was guilty of. Now it's the turn of the Atiku presidential campaign who say, look, Tinubu has been charged, and most of the things they say in this story are the things that are already in the public, domain clearly. Those Chicago days, the problem with drug cartel, the crisis, and they're doubling down on some of those accusations, especially even his record in Lagos. People are beginning to fact check those Lagos claims that it was not entirely, because Tinubu's biggest, armor in this, or his biggest, reason for wanting to run for governor is for president is that he was a fantastic governor. Now, people are fact-checking that, look, even in Lagos State, you actually perpetrated criminality and corruption through your companies, and you were, milking that state dry. So it's not as if it's just a rosy situation for Tinubu and its Lagos records. Now the Atiku campaign are looking into that too and saying that clearly even your properties, whether they're in Abuja or in Lagos, they were not done, it was not a clean deal as you would like to make it look. So they just painting him, and that in Nkechi Friday, we're almost giggling at the story of Tinubu saying he was going to fight corruption. And you were actually very clear about that. You're saying that, look, it sounds as if it's actually even the headline was mischievous in nature, but that's what Tinubu said. Tinubu is still saying that, look, he's the one that can fight corruption. The Atiku presidential campaign are saying that, look, you have a lot to answer and that you should be arrested and not. So both sides want the other person to be jailed. Keyamo, the other, they say Atiku should be in jail by now. This other camp are saying that Tinubu should be in jail. I think the people who are just having a good day, just doing their campaign will be Kwankwaso now and Peter Obi, who are not actually turning the the sword at each other. But these other two campaigns are really involved in this really hot race to arrest the other. I don't think any of that will happen. I think they're going to go into these campaigns, into these elections together, and they're going to slug it out, wait the electoral. I don't see anybody getting arrested at this point or going to any court. These matters are just going to linger on. But I think they do it so that people will see the kind of people, the kind of character that people are trying to vote for. Is this going to swing the voters who have made up their mind about these two characters? It's there to be seen yet. We're going to see how that pans out as we head into the elections.
Okay, while all that cat fight is going on, Emmanuel, the Labour Party has been campaigning in Kano and Kaduna, and they would say an impressive turnout for them. But my concern is the G5 of the PDP, Governor Nyesom Wike and his men. They're still making their demand. They want the PDP chairman Iyorchia to resign so that the Southerner can replace him. And we're also expecting Governor Wike to name a preferred candidate. Do we expect that to happen? I mean, he keeps saying he will. When will that happen?
When someone asks him the kind of question you're asking now, Kenneth, he said, why are they in a hurry, and why are they worried? He said it was going to be in January, but he didn't say what date. And there are speculations that, in fact, there were stories about who he backed the other day, but of course, even his base is saying that no, he has not. Named a name yet. But what's happening to the whole G5 thing is that Atiku is beginning to do what he was planning to do with them, which is to find other ways, background ways to get to their states and look for votes. He's done that already in Oyo State. We are marking the, at the weekend last week, clearly, supported that Atiku should. So there seems to be a crack in the G5 arrangement because, look, they are beginning to say, well, Atiku can come and campaign here, and they're shifting ground. So, but Wike, the man in the center of it, the leader of the G5, you're right, has not come out so clearly to say this is who he's backing. A lot of speculations out there. Some people think it's going to be Tinubu, others think it's going to be Obi, but he's not saying anything. Maybe he's keeping that closely to his chest and not saying that yet. But you're right, everyone is waiting to hear that. But the campaigns are moving on, and I think Atiku is trying to look for background means or background ways of getting his votes behind these G5 governors without directly depending on whatever supports he can get from them directly.
Emmanuel, quickly before we let you go on the international scene, your man Boris Johnson is back on the front pages as it says Boris back on the front line. This is Daily Express as he pays a surprise visit to Ukraine. And when we got this report 2 weeks ago or last week that he was planning a surprise visit, so many people were really condemning it, saying, look, Boris Johnson, you're going to undermine the current British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, if you embark on this trip. But he says, look, all the times that I've been to Ukraine as Prime Minister, if you remember, he was one of the first leaders to visit Ukraine. He said he established a personal friendship with President Vladimir Zelensky. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's just Boris' way of trying to just remain in the story. You know, this Trump kind of spirit of never going away. You know, I just want to be there in the news all the time. You know, to be shining. Another paper is actually doing a story on him of his collusion with the head of the BBC. That's another silly story that is going on around him now in the UK, you know, a news cycle. Then, of course, this whole Ukraine show is his own way of trying to say, look, I am actually a world figure. You know, I cannot be bogged down by local politics back home. So he wants to give this impression that, look, he operates mostly on the world stage and not just you know, in the, you know, at the level of running for prime minister. There have been talks that maybe at one time he wanted actually to run for that office again. So I think it's Boris' way of being the cat with the 9 lives. You know, that's you know, comeback kid that always try to show up at any time, and that it's going to be the issue for a very long time. And Ukraine is one example. But he could be right to that. Look, that's a personal thing for him. But some people see it as a stunt to remain relevant, especially on the world stage.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press preview. Let's hear your view on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag AriseDaily.